Donna.
And I'm Kerri.
And we are Paranormal Chicks.
Episode 77.
And first off, we have a new addition.
Welcome. Oh, wait. Not Creepinati?
I mean, we do, but that was going to be later.
Oh, okay. My baby beau. Y'all, if you're not in the Facebook group.
What are you doing with your life?
I mean, get over there now. It's fun. You'll love it. It's your people. But I got a dog. He is a 4-year-old English bulldog. And, well, his name was Bullet. But, I mean, again, insert sex joke. But I didn't want to call him Bullet. And then I didn't really want to shorten it to, like, Bully. Because, I don't know. Anyway, so I named him Beau. It's close enough. He's
How
4.
How does it spell?
Oh, B-E-A. How does it spell? B-E-A-U-X. I know everybody that speaks French is like, ugh, with the X. But it's like the Cajun French version.
Mm-hmm. And that's what she wishes she was.
Yeah, and I got him a little Saints jersey that's a little too little. And that's the biggest size they make. But I see you, Beau, because same. He's an extra large pizza, too. Beau's show.
Yes.
For sure. Like, he's like party size.
It's pretty sad that he fits in so well because he waddles, we waddle.
He sleeps all the time. I sleep all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He snores. We both snore. He has rolls. We have rolls.
He has allergies.
We have allergies.
I'm allergic to him.
Sorry.
This bitch.
But he's perfect because I've never had a dog that's like just mine. You know, I grew up with dogs, like with a dog in the house, but that's very different than like it being yours, you know? And so he's like the perfect first dog because he's already house trained. He already is like neutered and has all his shots and he's perfect. He's out of the puppy stage of annoyingness. So I love him.
Oh, and yeah, we do have a new Patreoner, so.
Yay! We both did jazz hands.
It is Krista O from Vermont, so thank you.
Up in the Vermont. Every time I think of Vermont, I feel like I'm in a Hallmark movie.
Ben and Jerry's.
There is one thing I want to talk about on a serious note. Last episode 76, Avi, this is 77, I covered Robert Picton, who was, if you haven't listened to it, he was the pig farmer who killed women, fed them to the pigs. In the episode, I talked a lot about that the women that he killed were marginalized populations of women who were homeless or sex workers or had issues with substance abuse problems, and that it was ignored basically for a really long time because they are part of these marginalized populations. And a couple of people in the Facebook group talked about that they are from Canada and they were surprised we had never heard of it. Sheena and Tawny, again, 2 of our resident Canadians, and were surprised that we had never heard of it. I've never in my life felt more like an egocentric American.
I know.
I know. Like, we don't know shit, which is part of why I think that I love this true crime wave that we're in because we're learning about all these people from other countries, and I think it's helping us grow as humans because we're realizing the issues that come from everywhere. With that being said, I was a solid 2 or 3 pages into my Google searches. You know how you hit like next page?
Yeah.
And I never saw not one thing about him murdering Indigenous women. And thank you so much for Sheena and Tawny who brought that up in the Facebook group because it needs to be mentioned. And so I feel like this is just a perfect example of how like Indigenous people are marginalized even in marginalized populations. Like, does that make sense? Like, they are.
Yes, it really does.
And it's heartbreaking, and I am so sorry that I missed that part of the story because it is clearly a huge part of the story that all of these women went missing, and again, a big piece of it was because they were Indigenous. And so I'm sorry that I missed that piece of it because it is super important. Tawny also mentioned the Trail of Tears in Canada, and so I'm going to do an episode on that. We try our best to find all of the pieces to the stories, but clearly sometimes we miss things. So if you are local or you know things like that, share it with us. We want to know, and we want to make sure that we are representing people who are victims of crimes in the best way possible and not missing out on this. Like in this case, we're missing an entire population of women that were most of his victims. So thank y'all so much for pointing that out. We welcome the feedback. We want to know your personal experiences with living in the area, and if you know stuff from a different angle that we didn't take, or that, again, you just know from your life living in places and, experiencing things, please tell us. So thank y'all so much for filling us in on that and giving me the idea to do the Trail of Tears.
Yes. Also, let us know when we get Paula and Gertrude wrong and Bloody Mary wasn't Queen Elizabeth. Things like that.
So for my story this week, I literally just picked a state. So I literally was like, murders in New Mexico. And it pulled up an article of like obscure murders that have like a conspiracy attached to it. And I was like, yes, I am here for this. And so I chose the first one. I also practiced saying this city a lot, and I know I'm still going to fuck it up and it's not hard.
Oh, God.
It's like, okay, so the city is Toss. And again, I practiced, and I like have a anxiety belly about trying to say it. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I got to say it. Okay. So there was a man that lived there. His name was Arthur Manby. And this happened a long fucking time ago.
Oh, shit. 1865.
Close. We are in like the 1880s, 90s kind of. Okay. So Arthur Manby was actually born in England. He was the 8th of 9 kids. His dad was a reverend. His mom was an artist. She was a watercolorist. He had a good life. He went to school. He studied architecture and mineralogy. But in like 1880-ish, he was like, look, I have 8 brothers and sisters. Like, I'm not going to get anything of an inheritance from my family because, when they divide up all the land and all that, it's not going to be anything. So when he was 24, he immigrated from England to America. And this was 1883. He sailed the ocean blue to New York, and then and then from there he took a train to New Mexico. So Arthur was very shishi. He was like dressed always like he was going to high tea. He was very fancy. I don't know. Is that right? High tea? Is that a thing? I mean, I know the words are a thing, but is it fancy?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I think so, because Taylor Swift says it in her London Boy song.
Well,
then
it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
We probably just offended everyone in England. Well, so old Arthur was trying to make a life for himself. He wanted to be great. He wanted to have all this land. He wanted to have all this money. And he was willing to do anything to get it. So old Arthur was pretty fucking shady. So this is what he did. He would basically lie, cheat, steal anything to get property from people. He had some like pieces of gold that he scattered throughout this land, and then said like, oh, we found gold. And then would like get investors from everywhere, from England, New York, Chicago, Maryland, all these people to invest to like mine for gold. And there was no gold. It was his. Spoiler alert. Isn't that some fucking shady shit?
If you've watched Sneaky Pete, they do that with like uranium or some shit, I can't remember. But it's like cat litter and shit that they put. It was crazy. But like, if I were to do that, would never work.
I know. Well, and when you said that, all I thought about was on Grease when she said some Sneaky Pete to make the party going.
God,
you remember that?
Yes. Also, he was good at Monopoly.
Oh, fuck yeah. He was like, I'm going to buy all the railroads. That's all I know about Monopoly.
What?
The avenues, the Carolinas. That's all I got.
I got orange, red, yellow.
That was
blue.
a trivia question the other night. We missed it.
Yep. Whoops.
Meanwhile, though, we always reference it with Pasco collect $200.
I know. Well, that's what I know. And Marvin Gardens, and that wasn't the answer.
Marvin Gardens? What's that?
It's the yellow one.
Oh.
There's 3, but that one is my favorite because I always land on it.
Do you buy it?
Yeah, because I always land on that motherfucker. BGW, I have never won Monopoly in my life.
I have never played an entire game of Monopoly to know if I've won or not.
Oh, girl, we used to keep it on our table. Be like, okay, we coming back to it.
Longest game ever.
It is.
So what he did was he created 4 different corporations. And they were all fronts to, like, launder the money and, again, to steal this money from people because, again, they thought they were investors in these companies that were mining for gold and all of that, and they weren't. His goal was, there was this huge piece of land, like over 60,000 acres. It was called Antonio Martinez Land Grant, and he ended up getting just under 60,000 acres of it.
What the fuck?
Yeah. The other thing that he did, too, was he also got the hot springs, and, like, today it is still named Manby Hot Springs.
Whoa.
You know, and he was pretty, again, don't steal from anybody, but he took a lot of land and money from Native Americans and Spanish settlers.
Motherfucker.
And so he would bring in appraisers to appraise the land, as you do, and he would be like, okay, your land's worth 2 gold bars. I don't know. What was the currency then?
2 sheepheads.
2 gold bars and 2 sheephead. And they'd be like, dang, is it really? And he'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, okay, you can have it. Or, you know, we'll take that. Well, meanwhile, the appraiser was fake, not even an appraiser, and he was paying them off to say it's worth less, even though this fucking fuckity-fuck knows it is worth more.
Yes.
And so he was basically buying all this land for pennies on the dollar because he was cheating these people. And they believed that this was a real appraiser coming to tell them what their land was worth, and it wasn't.
Wow. I hope he had diarrhea for the rest of his life.
Well, then he created this group, and it was called United States Civil Secret Service Society. That is a lot of S's.
Did he listen to our sinister sightings?
I know that civil is a C, but States Civil Secret Service Society.
Yeah, that's too much.
That is a tongue twister.
That's worse than Cheryl She-Shed.
So the society was meant to be a place where people would pay him money to be part of this society, and it was all fucking fake. Well, he tried to get this guy, Dr. Victor C. Thorne. He lived in New York.
He's a thorn in my fucking side.
Well, he's a multimillionaire, so he can thorn my side all he fucking wants to.
Okay. He can thorn my rose bush all night long.
Well, he was trying to really get this guy to be part of the society and stuff because people were starting to know. They were like, this is shady. This isn't right. You know, he's buying up all this land, but he doesn't have any fucking money. So people were starting to sue him and, like, try to get their money back. So he had a lot of civil and criminal cases, actually.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, from, like, 1902 to 1913. And so the secret society, in his mind, was his way out. Like, if he could get these people to invest in all of this, then he could pay off all his debts and, like, start over. Just after, like, 3 years of getting all of that land, it ended up being sold at auction because he couldn't pay. But here's the thing, too, though. Before they realized, like, he couldn't pay anything and all that, and it sold at auction, I told you how he would, like, salt the land with the gold. The other thing that he would do is buy up the water rights and, like, the actual, like, waterway going through there. And so, from what I understand, it was like people couldn't afford to stay there because he owned the water.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. And so they would sell their land to him for really cheap because, again, no water.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? He wanted money. He wanted to be somebody. Even though the bulk of the land sold at auction within 3 years, he still was able to keep 23 of those acres for himself. And he wanted to build this grand hacienda. Very shishi.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did.
Build it. They will come.
Mm-hmm. Well, he builds his 19-room hacienda and retreats to it. Like, he's close to like $900,000 in debt, they said. I don't know if that's our money or his money time, but that's what one of the articles said. And because everybody knew he was shady, he was broke, people were suing him, he became a recluse and just stayed in his house. In 1929, some U.S. deputies from Santa Fe were going to Arthur's house because they had to serve him with some paperwork because he's being sued again.
You been served, bitch. This man be served.
When the deputy got there, nobody answered the door.
Nobody's home.
So he goes to the courthouse and goes to see the sheriff. And he's like, yo, have y'all seen old Arthur? Because I needs to give him this paperwork. Look, it's a long way back home. Like, can you help a brother out? So the two officers, because he, was asking for help. The two officers go to his house to see what's up. And when they get there, they look through and they see Arthur laying on this cot. Because his house had a bunch of sunrooms. And he was laying on this cot in one of the sunrooms. And, when they look in, they're like, holy fucking shit, where is his head?
Oh, fuck.
Uh-huh. So they go in, and they find Arthur's German Shepherd in there. And...
Is he alive?
Yes, he's good.
Okay.
And Arthur's body is bloated, bugs flying everywhere around it.
God.
It had been there a long time.
Ew.
The thing is, though, is his head wasn't there.
That poor man's already lost his fucking head.
So what they were thinking is, because, his body, again, flies, bugs, very badly decomposed, very bloated, has been there a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
he should not have had those carbs at dinner.
What the police were thinking was that maybe his dog, chewed his head off. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have to bite my head off about it. Shit.
Well, yours is a snack size.
Yeah. And then, because all this, skin and stuff from his head was gone. So, they call in what I'm assuming is the coroner. And guess what the coroner said? He died by natural causes.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. They said what had happened was he died of a heart attack. And then because he was there so long, his dog gnawed his face off. And I guess it took the head with it. I don't fucking know.
Took the head with it, ate it all. Mm-hmm. Didn't shit any bones or anything out.
No, because he didn't, in their world, didn't eat any of the bones.
But where were the bones?
Intact.
Oh.
His head was just rolled off.
Oh. I thought it was, missing.
No. The head was, so right
the
there.
Skull.
Yeah.
Was anyone else Paula Gertrude on that or just me?
Oh, my God. 45 episodes later.
That shit never gets fucking old. Maybe to some other people, but not to me.
So they are yeah, died of natural causes. It is what it is. Well, Arthur had two brothers, Alfred and Erdley. You Erdley me?
Right?
Donna is never Erdley. She always late.
That's the damn truth.
Okay, so they are there is no motherfucking way that he died of a heart attack and his dog gnawed his fucking head off. That ain't happening.
'Cause dogs are man's best friend. Duh.
Mm-hmm. So they contacted the New Mexico governor and his name, Richard Dillon, and they were like,
listen here, Dick.
Yeah, yes. Open this fucking investigation because this is stupid. This is so illogical.
This man be dead, not by a heart attack.
Right. So he says, okay, look, tells the district attorney, Fred Stringfellow, to open the case back up, and he assigns it to an investigator named William Martin. Well, William is a very good investigator and is not going to just walk in and be like, oh, natural causes. And so he's like, So they get his body exhumed. They get a local dentist to like verify that those are his dentures, because his dentures were like laying beside him. They got a blacksmith to confirm that the stick pin that was, it was a diamond stick pin that was used to hold his underwear and 3 rings that he had on were Arthur's. Because some people are like, is that even him? Because there's no face. Like, we don't know for sure that's him.
Yeah, well, I thought, oh shit, here's a plot twist.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's one step ahead.
Yeah.
But also, why leave your dog?
Well, the body was dressed just like Arthur dressed, though. He had, like, he was known to be very she. Like, he was supposedly from, like, an aristocrat family. Every time I say that word, I have to think about it because of the Aristocats. I have to think to be like, am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. The white one with the pink. Mm-hmm. She is like me as a cat.
So because he always wore these knee-high lace-up boots and an ascot, again, with the stick pin. And so they were like, well, it has his clothes. There's his dentures. It's wearing his stick pin and his rings. But is it really him? Because he had all this debt and all these lawsuits and all this shit that he needed to get away from. And he was 70 years old, but he wasn't like old and feeble, Well, they exhumed the body, like I said, and they noticed that he had a broken collarbone, 2 ribs were busted, and there were 7 bullet holes.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Not a heart attack, bullet holes. Yeah.
Bullet holes, people.
Uh-huh. And the head, the lower jaw, and the right side of the face had been blown off. It had been shot, and it was blown off. Uh-huh. Not eaten.
Oh, God.
Well, then the dentist that like testified or whatever that was his dentures recanted.
What?
And they also destroyed the autopsy files, where it was natural causes, because supposedly the state never paid him for the autopsy, so he destroyed the files.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What in the cover-up is going on here?
Right.
So they're like, okay, who killed him? And also, is him? You know what I mean? Because again, there was no blood. And so we know it wasn't natural causes. And now we know there was fucking 7 bullet wounds in his torso. Not to mention the one on the face. Mm-hmm. So where the fuck is the blood?
Yeah. Blood.
Well, they start trying to put some pieces together. And there was a guy who lived nearby, Victor Higgins, and he said, not too long ago, there was a hobo that came around looking for work. And I didn't have any, so I sent him down to Arthur's house.
Shit.
But I never saw him again.
Fuck.
And so...
They say the clothes make the man.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, okay, then did Arthur kill him, dress him in his clothes, and then make sure that, here's my dentures, and then made sure that nobody ever knew that nobody was the wiser because his face is gone. There ain't no fucking DNA. Well, there's DNA, but you know what I mean.
Not in these day and ages.
Yeah.
What?
DNA, yeah, DNA existed.
Yeah.
So they're like, that could be who the body was. Well, then there was a guy who worked for the railroad. He was a little baggage boy. And he said that one night in July of 1929, this was not long before the body was found, he said that he saw Arthur get on a train heading east. And he says that, he and Arthur knew each other. They talked. They were like, hey, good evening. What's going on? And that Arthur gave him $100 bill to be like, don't say you saw me.
Oh, shit.
But again, how you fucking prove it?
Uh-huh.
Well, then another local artist, Joseph Sharp, and his wife, they were on a trip to Florence, Italy. And while they were there, they saw a guy that looked and dressed just like Arthur Manby. And when that guy saw them, he like darted into a shop to get away from him. And so they were like, very, very interesting. Well, they tried to bring in a criminologist from San Francisco, but his fee was like $2,000. And so they were like, oh, we can't afford that. So nope. There was a lot of other sightings, quote unquote, of Arthur Manby over the years. Some people were questioned in regards to his death, but nobody was ever arrested or anything. And in 1930, the case went cold. And we have no idea what actually happened to Arthur Manby. Was that him? Was that someone else? Is he living his best life back in Europe? We don't know.
Damn. He up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
Or did he? And if he didn't, who killed him? And why were they so quick to put it as natural causes? Because if his brothers had to been like, a fuck no,
yeah,
we would never, they would have never even known that it wasn't natural circumstances.
Yeah. Hell, if, again, I love a conspiracy.
Me too.
Then I'm thinking he probably paid off the coroner. It was like, this is what's going to happen.
Could have, yeah.
Say this, and no one's going to be like, no, I don't think so. Like, the coroner said it, okay.
Well, and he was he was known to have politicians in his back pocket. Like, he was known to pay them off. And so, yeah, that could be it too. Yeah. So was his death is just as mysterious and conspiracious? Just kidding. Shrouded in conspiracy as his life. So, I mean, who knows? But it is still a mystery.
Whoa. I want to know what ascots he wore.
I don't know, but I do know when they buried him like outside the city cemetery. Like, wouldn't even put him in the city, like in the cemetery. It was like on the outside of the wall.
So it's like a pauper's kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So his headstone said Arthur B. Manby, born 1960, England, died 1929, Taos. And then it said, on his headstone, it said, he planted the trees in this park and on Pueblo Road. Like, that's the only thing he was known for.
Damn.
Good.
Damn.
Yeah. So, that is Arthur Manby and his mysterious death.
Well, I wonder if Bob Ross painted those trees at some point.
I think they were very happy trees, and I bet he did.
Mm-hmm. And under those trees, there's gold, maybe.
Could be.
Ask Scott what you... Sorry, I'm obsessed with Ascot.
I also have some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. If you really believe there's gold there.
Hey, you got any gold?
Okay. On that note, your story time.
Okay. So Amy was at the party that was like decades, characters, the one that I said was 80s party. That one. But she's friends with my brother Kenneth and my sister-in-law Barbara. That's how I know her. And she has sent in some sinister sightings before. Well, she was like, girl, I want you to do this thing, and I have some stories for you. So I was like, all right, send them to me. I'll do it. And, that was like forever ago. Well, then at the party, she was like, hey, you haven't, have you researched about that? I was like, send me your stuff and I'll do it.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing it, okay?
All right.
Okay? I got on it.
When you said that was forever ago, I was like, that was last week.
I know.
But the party was last week.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm doing Bosworth Hall, and it is in the rural town of Market Bosworth in Leicestershire, England. I think. I mean, I know it's there, but...
You think you said it right? Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. So, and we're talking just over 2,000 people live there, okay? This town, Market Bosworth, is known for, Bosworth Hall. It's known for Bosworth Field, which is the site for the Battle of War of the Roses between Richard III and Henry Tudor. So, there you go. But in 1589, The land was purchased by Wollston Dixie, and he was Lord Mayor of London.
Very she.
Very. Bosworth Hall was not built until several years later, and it had like passed on to Sir Beaumont Dixie, who was a baronet. And so it just kind of served as a home for the Dixies through like generations. Oh, and I was like, what is fucking baronet of Bosworth? Like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard of like a baron and a baroness.
And apparently it was given to the head of the family, the Dixie Peeps, the Dixie Stampede, by King Charles II in 1660. So they kept that, you know, they were like she, all the things until the late 19th century, and they lost all of their fortune due to gambling.
Oh no.
So they had to sell the estate and, you know, all the things. Then in 1936, Bosworth Hall and the grounds around it, it was a public hospital. And during World War II, the infirmary like had, you know, it was set up there and all.
Yeah.
So it's seen some shit. It ended up being a hospital until 1957, and it had to shut down because like short-staffed, all the things. But then in 1980s, it became what it is now, and that is Bosworth Hall Hotel. And it is like fancy pinky up kind of shit.
I bet they have high tea.
And they wear ascots.
With some pins in them.
Diamond pins. He was a fucking baller.
Well,
Shot caller.
20-inch blades on the Impala.
You know what? He's fucking still alive. Wrote that song.
He's 143.
There is one major ghost that people say they see here at Bosworth Hall, and that is the Gray Lady. So we're going to travel back to the 18th century. Sir Wollston Dixie, the fourth baronet, he was known for being a son of a bitch. He would fight. He would everything. Like he treated his workers terribly. You know, everything. Okay, this is what I put. He was like the fucking Gaston of the Dixie family.
Damn.
But mixed with some sadistic prick. I don't know. I was typing, you know.
Letting it flow.
In July 1739, Lady Anna Dixie, she gave birth to their third child. However, she died after the delivery.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But she's not the Gray Lady. It's Anne, the daughter. So, Anne had supposedly fallen in love with the grounds gardener or the gardener's son. I saw two different things, you know, but probably the gardener's son. And, you know, again, they are she, and that is a no. So, and he was the son of a bitch. He had probably promised her to someone who could give them money, whatever, you know, like all the shit. And so now it's like, bitch, you better not ruin my plans.
This is like the premise to a really good Hallmark movie.
Right? It reminds me of Rain, that CW show. I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean? Like, it's stuff that happened in it. So what the baronet did was he planted, quote, man traps. Because again, he's fucking sadistic. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Well, it kind of backfired on him because the gardener or the gardener's son didn't fall for the trap, but Anne did. Yep.
Not good.
It said it got her leg and kind of like mangled her. Somehow, you know, again, adrenaline, whatever, she was able to get free, and she kind of just crawled back to her house, up to her room, and that's where she laid, and she bled out.
Oh, my God.
It said that the blood stains from her bleeding out, her wounds, all of that are still rumored to be like able to be seen seeping through the wooden floor along the hall's fireplace, like right above where she would have been. And they say like why she's still there is that she's roaming the grounds looking for the gardener's son, but also maybe to get revenge on her dad.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So if you want to go and because you can stay in this room, you can stay here. It's a hotel. They will not leave the light on for you. Do you remember what commercial that's for?
Motel 6.
Yep. Not sponsored. The Norfolk suite is where her room was, where she died in, and where she's seen a lot. There's also another spot, and it's around the door to the Newgate bar. And it used to be the Newgate prison, because apparently they had a prison going on there too. Like all of the shit from history, I mean, it's changed so much because this was like a wartime and everything. I mean, they just had to make do with what they could.
Right, yeah.
People who work there say that they have heard the door rattling at night as if someone was trying to open it. And it's too heavy to be like, oh, that was just the wind or, a gust of wind, whatever. Like, nah, bitch, this door is fucking thick. Like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's really all I could find about the Gray Lady. I mean, it was just that story, not a lot of sightings, I guess, that was documented. I'm sorry. Not a lot of sightings, I guess, that have been documented or anything. But we have Amy Posey's experience. So I'm going to read that kind of like a Sinister Sightings because she typed it all up. And enjoy. Amy said, I traveled to England for spring break in 2019. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures from the trip because my computer crashed soon after returning.
Well, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it was from plugging it in the different outlets.
Oh, fuck.
Or you got a hex.
Ooh, or did you look for Robert the doll?
The gray woman followed you home on your laptop.
Fuck. I tried hunting through albums for my friends that also took the trip, but no one had shots of Bosworth Hall. I was hoping someone had the fireplace picture. While we were there, some of us tried to go ghost hunting. Nothing odd really happened, and we had one girl who insisted on making all the noise known to man because she was scared and didn't actually want to see anything. Why she came with us, I will never know. Mad emoji. Anyway, one guy in our group did manage to capture a picture of the grand fireplace that looked like it had something. You could just make out what looked like legs and childlike shorts. The cute ones from like the early 1900s before it blurred into a smear of light. Of course, this is all hearsay until I track him down and get the picture. Personally, my roommate and I had several creepy things happen while staying at Bosworth Hall. We were the only two in our group about 20 who were placed in a room on the lower level. There were a few times that others came to fetch us for activities or dinner, but no one, and I mean no one, would actually enter our room. They all stopped at the doorway and insisted on just waiting till we were ready. One girl stood there for 15 minutes while I finished blow drying my hair. When we asked them why, they'd just shrug and say they felt uneasy.
Damn.
Look, did y'all have poopery? Because that does make a difference. Just kidding. Okay. My roommate and I decided to investigate for ourselves. We started taking pictures all over the rooms at different times during the day. There were lots of times that the facial recognition system would act like it was picking something up, but none of the pictures ever showed anything that we could prove that wasn't light reflected on dust particles or natural shadows. Asking around the hotel staff, it provided some insight. The area of the hotel we stayed in had previously been an ICU of sorts during World War II. It was where the worst patients went to basically wait for a miracle or to die.
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. During the week we stayed there, we'd been woken up a couple of times in the night, but whatever had woken us up wasn't apparent once coherent. We would both be woken up, however, so we knew something, maybe just bumps from the guest above us, was doing it. It made us a little jumpy. Still, I'm a skeptic until I have proof. Then, on the next to last night, the mirror happened.
Dun dun dun.
We'd spent most of the day walking around Shakespeare country and seeing everything related to the bard, including the neighboring house of his daughter's husband's parents. No lie. Seriously, just shaking my head remembering the shake sanity. Oh,
damn.
My feet hurt, I was tired, I just wanted to soak in the tub and relax. Since Bosworth Hall is now a fancy hotel, there was a nice tub with several soaking salts to choose from. Told you, she.
Mm-hmm.
I started drawing the water and getting ready. The unease started about the time I turned off the water. I kept getting this feeling that something was behind me. Constantly glancing over my shoulder, I just kept trying to shake the feeling as paranoia after getting the building's history. I finally got so tired of feeling paranoid that I pulled the shower curtain around the tub. It still felt like I wasn't alone. When I got out of the tub a little later, I knew I hadn't been alone. There on the steamy mirror was a motherfucking freaking handprint. I love that she said motherfucking freaking handprint.
Dang. Nope, no thanks.
It looked like someone had put their hand on the mirror and trailed their fingers off to the edge.
What in the Jack and Rose is going on here?
Girl, we all know what you're talking about.
Little
Titanic.
in the Titanic in the car.
In someone else's dang car, too.
I know.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily. They had a car down there.
Oh, true.
That's how they came in, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Could be her car.
Oh, fuck.
Mind blown.
Fuck. Why you always have to crack all the cases?
True crime over here, remember?
After I stopped freaking hyperventilating in a fetal position ball of going to be killed by a ghost one day because I have no flight response to think about, I screamed bloody murder until my roommate woke up and pulled me out of the bathroom.
Wow.
We told our trip coordinator what happened and showed him the mirror, but he, being a very religious Baptist, felt that we were pulling a prank or being silly. He insisted that we not move rooms and threatened to send us home early if anything else happened.
Wow.
I can honestly say that I maybe slept 3 hours over the last 48 hours in that place. Nothing else happened, but yeah, I definitely believe in the paranormal now. Whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And of course no one believed him. Good Lord.
And I mean, like, okay, if something else happens, then I'm going to send you home.
You going to pay for that extra ticket?
I mean, I don't know.
So I found another, like, experience thing on deadcentral.blog, and that's ran by Vicki Grant. And she's all up in, paranormal, and they do investigations and all, so very cool. Well, Bosworth Hall has, like, some events on Halloween because, make that money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would do it. She said that the first time that she did one of these events, they had a lot of experience with the REM pod, and the spirit, like, answered the questions. Like, they had the good rapport going on, and they found out that the spirit was male, around 50 years of age, and was also one of the soldiers brought in to the hospital. Well, Vicky's like, hospital? This is a fucking hotel. It was a house. Like, what? Because she didn't do any of the research because she wanted to kind of go in blind. Well, he's like, no, this was one of the wards of the hospital. And so Vicky was like, fuck, I didn't tell anyone. But when I walked into this room, she felt it smelled like a hospital. But it was like useless information. So, meh. But that just goes to show you, everything you think might be useless, there could be a reason that you're thinking it, smelling it, doing it. And that pertains to true crime as well,
Mm-hmm.
The second time Vicky was doing one of the events, she was in what they called the judge's room, which was a small, like, official office, kind of a small conference room, I feel like. Had a large table in the middle with chairs, and so they all sat around it. She said as soon as they walked into that room, she was like, nope, don't like this. She said it had a darker feel than the rest of the hotel. It was just something, like, off. And so her and the rest of the team, they used something called the Alice box device, which is similar to the Ovulus that you see on Ghost Adventures and all of that, where they kind of spit out words randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And it started to say hell, demon, hung, poltergeist. And that was completely different than what they had just done in another room. So it wasn't like it was like set to creepy. You know what I mean? It's just, that's kind of the vibe it gave off, and that's what it picked up on. She said that when she was sitting in that judge's room, she was kind of against the wall, but she felt like someone had taken a piece of her hair and kind of like wisped it on her forehead. And she's like, oh, oh, okay. Like, let me look around. No one's by me. Like, no one did anything. Everyone else is seated. No one else has noticed anything. Well, then, so she ignored it, whatevs. Then it happened again, but this time it felt like someone touched the top of her head and she could feel the fingers.
Don't like that. Don't like that at all.
So then she's like, all right, this is something. Like, it's not just, like a weird sensation or anything. Like, second time something's happened to, like, my face, my head. All right. So she's telling the people, and this one lady is like, you know what? I felt like I saw a very tall shadow that was lurking by you. And at that moment, the Alex box said Victoria, which is her first full name. But she goes by Vicky.
Nope. Don't.
Later on, they go back to the judge's room, and she sits on the opposite side of the table. Like, okay, maybe something's over there, like, whatever. Just going to try something different. The lady who sat where she was said that she felt someone touching her on the head. She said that in a corner, what they described was a monk, because it looked like it had a hood on. But, I mean, again, they don't know. Yeah. They went on to, have all the experiences that one usually does, where they do see more shadows. They do have more, interactions with blink once for yes, whatever, with their EMF meters, all of that. They said that some locks on the doors moved, and it's like not the kind that just would do it by the wind again. They had temperature changes, taps on the wall.
Hopefully not when they were sleeping.
Right. So there were multiple groups when she was there, and there were 2 members of Para Angels, which is a different team, and they're not mediums, but they are sensitive. They said right when they started, they entered this room and they felt the energy of a female. They said that she stood in a far corner and just watched them. And then after like just a few seconds, really, they were just overwhelmed with a sadness. One of them started using the dowsing rods, and she said that they did get some information, and what they got was that it was a nanny. She wasn't worried. She did experience sadness. That's what she was feeling. She did die here in 1710. She was a schoolmistress and poverty. And later on, after they, did some other stuff, they went back to that room to try to communicate some more, but the whole feeling of the room had changed and it wasn't sad anymore. So it was like definitely with that spirit. The Para Angels, they actually took a photo, and you can see like a black figure by a mirror. So I will post that in our show notes. And I mean, it's just all of the same. I mean, it used to be a hospital. It had something with the prison. It had, like the battle on the land, and they had the tragic story of Anne and her lover and her terrible father.
Gosh.
It had a lot of shit going on. But not as bad as normal. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
could be worse.
Yeah. On the scale of paranormal history, this one's all right-ish.
PG-13, if you will.
Yes. Yes. So, thank you. I know it's kind of short, but it's interesting. I feel like.
For sure.
And she had experienced it. And again, like we always say, that we do love your recommendations.
Oh, absolutely. Good job.
Okay. So we have your guy who was Shishi. We have this now hotel that is Shishi. And
my guy wanted to make that a hotel.
Damn. The hacienda. Oh my God. What if he went back to fucking Leicestershire?
He could have, because he was from England and it was about that time.
I'm saying.
Look, they're connected. The stories are connected. It's a thing. Problem solved. We can all go home now.
Oh, God. Allegedly, y'all. Yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh. But, whoa. So, I think it's awesome. I like this. It was a short episode, but.
It was. But I liked the stories. It was something different, I feel like.
Yeah.
Will y'all let us know what y'all think?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what did we learn?
We learned that some coroners, you should not take them at their word. ever, y'all need to, like, oh, he died of a heart attack. I mean, he's missing his face and all, but that heart attack, oh, there's bullet holes? Oh.
You know what? Everybody has a price.
Mine's a foot massage, honestly.
I mean, if you came at me and said that you were going to pay my student loans off, there are a lot of things I would do.
Damn. Well, here's my question to you, Kerri.
Okay.
What would you do?
For a Klondike bar.
Yeah.
Not sponsored.
Ugh.
We didn't learn very much this episode.
I mean, I think this just reinforced everything we've already known.
There you go. Look, we're putting our knowledge to use now. We learned a lot the past 76 episodes. 77, turn a new leaf. Already know things.
78, we're going to be like, oh, fuck.
What's a podcast? That's what we're going to say.
Yep.
Thank y'all so much for listening, supporting us on all the social media and on Patreon. Another way you can support us is to subscribe and review us on iTunes and Stitcher. Anything else?
Nothing else, but also, if Will cannot work his magic, you might hear a snore or two. But it wasn't Kerri this time. It was Bo.
Oh, Bo.
It was Bo.
Look, it's a hard life.
So.
Well, y'all, remember.
Keep it real and don't get scared.